India is the fifth largest economy in the world, growing at 6 to 7% a year. On paper, things do look fine, but consider one number: manufacturing as a share of GDP has fallen from 17% in the 1990s to 12.6% today. This is not a cyclical dip, this is a 3 decade slide across multiple governments and reform cycles, and that is what this video is all about. So deindustrialization happens after industrialization. The Britain, the US, and the South Korea, they all built large manufacturing bases first, created a middle class on factory wages, and then moved into services. That is the standard sequence, but India skipped it. The country moved into services without ever going through a sustained industrial phase. And here is why that matters. Manufacturing moves workers out of the low productivity agriculture into better paying jobs with transferable skills. India roughly has around 500 million workers. The entire IT sector employs maybe 5 or 6 million only. And that gap is the real issue. To give a historical context, in the 1980s and 1990s, when East Asia was building factories, India's policy environment made that very difficult. Labor laws penalized scale, land acquisition was contested, power infrastructure was unreliable, so private capital went where those constraints did not exist, which was obviously the services industry. That drift compounded for 30 years. And the PLI scheme launched in 2020 is the most serious attempt to change this once and for all. It ties government incentives to production targets across 14 sectors. Mobile phones are the clearest win. India went from importing nearly all of its smartphones to producing a significant share of the global iPhone output. That is a real progress. But PLI works best for large capital intensive industry. It does not reach the 63 million small and medium enterprises that India employs that employ most of India's manufacturing workforce. Three things need to run alongside it. First is the labor laws need simplification. Not to weaken protections, but because the current system is so fragmented that just complying with it puts Indian manufacturers at a disadvantage before they even start competing. Second, we need to take industrial development to smaller cities. Land is cheaper there, workers are available, and the infrastructure gap is far more bridgeable than in already saturated metros. And third, vocational training needs serious investment. Modern manufacturing does not need more software engineers. It needs skilled technicians, and the current education system is simply not producing them at scale required. None of this is a quick fix because South Korea, for example, its industrial transformation took the better part of 2 decades. So to conclude, India is growing. That is not the question. The question is what the growth is built on. 40% of the workforce is still in agriculture. Formal job creation runs below the number of young people entering into the market each year. And that demographic window, a large young working age population, lasts roughly another 15 years. What happens to manufacturing in that window will determine what kind of economy India has in 2040. The data is already pointing in a direction worth paying attention to.